That ends our action items. We move on to section G, informational items. First one is a report on the Lincoln Way Special Education District 843 Governing Board meeting held August 22nd, 2017.
Yes, I attended that meeting, and much like tonight, we had a budget hearing, and much like tonight, it was approved, so the 843 budget is in place for the upcoming year. The rest of the meeting was pretty much standard, status quo. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Ron regarding 843? Thanks, Ron. Next, FOIA request.
FOIA requests are included in your backup materials for review. We had a total of 13 FOIAs from August 13 to September 13.
Any questions or comments on the FOIA requests that are presented here? Next would be the tax anticipation warrants for 2018.
Brad will take this over. We'll discuss the timing and cash flow, some of the particulars as they are securities. We will discuss terms in closed session prior to coming back next month with a recommendation to the board.
Great. Thank you, Brad.
All right, thank you, Dr. Tingley. So included in your board information is the outline of the timeline. As you said, we are planning to come back to the board on October 19th, seeking board resolution for tax anticipation warrants in the amount of $27 million. As already been previously discussed here tonight is this new funding formula that's still being vetted by ISBE. But what we do know is, and it's listed there in the background, that we will receive no less than what we received in fiscal year 17. So the 5 items that are now part of the new funding formula would be the old general state aid. So we're going to be receiving $5.2 million according to their ISBE's current schedule. English language education, $8,000. Special ed personnel, $908,000. Special ed funding for children, $842,000. And finally, special ed summer school at $1,500. This is what's comprising of the evidence-based funding formula as it's dubbed now. There are some, of course, that's the minimum. The new formula takes a lot into account. But finally, so then we're estimating our bi-monthly payments at $317,700. That has been built into this cash flow. You will notice then if in the bottom part of the memo, what we deem to be, we see as being the minimum cash flow coming from the state of Illinois would be the 1 fiscal year 17 MCAP payment, 22 evidence-based funding payments. Finally, we're anticipating closing the land sale by January 1st of 2018, and then, of course, normal Will County distribution of taxes. Based on all of those data, we have calculated to be the district's absolute low point in cash would be negative just under $23 million. So we're asking for $27 million authorization, and realizing the district will only draw on the exact amount required to meet the daily cash flow needs of the district. And finally, the district would be working with, I know I say here in the memo PMA, we'll discuss this more in exec, but it looks like that won't be happening, but we will be using Ice Miller of Chicago as bond attorneys. And then included there is the actual detail. In some aspects, it's a daily cash flow based on events happening throughout the month. So if you go clear to the last page of that report, which all good reports, you start at the back and read them, I guess. So if you look at that, you can see there the anticipated, on page 4 of that report, you see the summary of anticipated draws on the TAWs, tax anticipation warrants, along with a color coding to help you easily identify in the report. Yellow is actual cash balances, blue is estimated cash balances. Of course, then this kind of a light yellow, tax anticipation repayments. And then finally, the green would be the tax anticipation draws on the 2017 warrants. So with that, I would just entertain any questions questions the board would have on the schedules or the memo.
So for the state revenue, are we using the same amount that we budgeted?
No, we have updated the cash flow to reflect for the, so let me restate that. So what's in here compared to the budget is 28,000 of additional revenue, because we built into this cash flow the minimum which we think we'll get, which is $28,000 more than what's in the budget.
And that still puts the cash flow at a low point of 23 million.
That is correct.
So then why 27 million?
The biggest would be the land sales. Okay, if the land sales does not close in time, that would be our biggest roller. The second one would be is if distribution from Will County, they have changed their payment schedule. So that's kind of a new territory for us because they're paying a few days later. Well, that gives them time to wrap up more of their month, I guess. So we were seeing larger payments at different times. So the payments are not as uniform, or not uniform, but we're not seeing them as what they were historically. So there could be a little in there. And then the final, the other wild card is, will the state continue to make those payments as they said they were going to? So.
Does this cash flow rely on the holdback on the insurance again?
It does not. We would be current with all payments that's scheduled in here, making those payments to our self-funded health insurance every month as scheduled.
I may have missed it, but does this include the repayment of the Worth Township tax
Yes.
anticipation warrants?
Yes.
When does that happen?
It's right here on, apologize, there's no page numbers, but it's on October 4th, so if you just look date-wise sequentially, let's see what,
It's October 2nd and the O&M.
Oh, there, okay.
yeah, I'm sorry, October 2nd,
Thank you.
yeah.
So then we would be out of theirs.
Correct.
Just back with this group of.
And so then on October 30th, what you can see there, the final 2016 TAW payment coming out of the ed fund, including the anticipated interest.
If all of those negative variables occur that you listed a moment ago, if they all occur during this fiscal year, we're confident that $4 million cushion will still be enough? If all four of those things happen?
Well, if all four of those things happen, first off, we'll be updating and providing the board monthly cash flows. Second, if all four of all of those negative things happened, we're going to be very tight at the 27 million, and we would continue to discuss with the board what options to make sure we make it through on each of our two major tight points as the first payroll in November and the first payroll in May. So we're about to hit the first real tight spot, and then once we make it through that, we'll continue to update this every month, keeping you up to date, but there's where we'd be.
We'd also have the safety valve of the insurance.
Insurance payments, sure.
And then you could take the other side of that, then you talked about the four negative consequences as a potential $3 million positive impact if the state stepped up and did what they were going to do, so.
Right, and, so it's a proposed draw schedule. We
Sure.
will draw as appropriate.
It's best case scenario.
Right.
I just, what I missed, and I appreciate it, was the Fort Township toss going away. I said
Right.
something. Any other questions? So this will come back next month, and we'll look for a motion to move forward after discussion.
Thank you for
Yes.
allowing me to put
That was next. Next is item G4, District 210 Advisory.
Dr. Mahalik, can you give us just a quick update, please?
Good evening. We had our initial meeting of the year about a week ago, and at that time, we set our dates, which you approved tonight, and also we introduced our new membership, which you also approved tonight. And we began the discussion on the two topics that you have given us to study, and that is the comparable study on participation fees in athletics and activities, and also a study on wearing student IDs with either a lanyard or clip. So we are beginning to collect information. We'll bring that back in October to start going through the different information we collect from different schools.
Good first meeting, and you have 2 things we're looking into.
Thank you both. All right, next is item G5, policy 420, action plan.
With the original policy 420, it stipulated that with the passage of the budget, the administration must have an action plan in terms of regaining our fund balances. So what we will do, this fund balance action plan will become the administrative procedure that attaches to the policy 420. Also, something that was asked is that we're able then to trace this from year to year, and by putting it in the minutes, having it in here, we'll be able to trace that. Brad, if you have anything additional to add, you kind of put this together, or if any board members have any comments or questions or concerns. But we brought this the last meeting. I thought it was important to bring it one more time. It is now documented as then our action plan to work our way out of our borrowing.
The only comment I would just have really quick, sorry, would just be is, I really appreciate the fact that we're documenting this and putting in the minutes. I'd really like to be able to, on an annual basis, we're going to be, coming back with the results and show an update to how we're doing, and I think it would be important to be able to look back in history and say, okay, where were we projecting, where are we at, how are we doing, and just, keep moving ahead on this road.
I would just change the recommendation line to increase operating funds balance by a minimum of 3%.
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's a good recommendation. And since it's an administrative procedure, it's going to be approval of those goals. Thank you.
All right. Next, item 6, building and ground report.
Included in your backup material, it was the O&M report for the last month. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure Rich can answer them, but in the interest of time, if no one has any questions, next item.
Are there any particular questions regarding the building? Next, item 7, community relations report.
Also in your backup materials was the community relations report for the past month. Once again, if no comments or concerns, it's providing a public comment, just an update of what's been going on. Some of it was covered by our class presidents this evening, city council presidents.
Any questions regarding the committee report? Next would be item 8, asset of the month.
Asset of the month, young person accepts and takes responsibility, model responsibility in your own life, and you make a commitment and follow through. At school, expect students to act responsibly, notice and affirm what they do, set clear and reasonable consequences for when they don't, and in the community, challenge the assumptions that youth are naturally irresponsible. See how that's for the month of October.
Legislative report.
What we included in the legislative report is a webinar that kind of explains the evidence funding for the Student Success Act. So if anyone has any questions, Brad or Kelly or myself would be happy to answer those. We just wanted to provide that background as we will receive more and more information from ISB over the next couple of weeks regarding the funding.
And for that, now superintendent's district report.
Attached to the pride sheet, also, one of the stipulations of our contract with Aunt Nancy's was that we receive their annual DCFS reports. So I've included that report in there for the board and public's reviews. Both East and Central had received 0 violations. There were a couple of paperwork violations at West that were corrected immediately. So positive on that front. Wanted to share that with the board, as that's one of the stipulations in the
Item 11 is other district business. Any members have anything they'd like to share at this point? Item 12, correspondence. None.
Invitations are great.
So then we will be, seek a motion to go into closed session. Board will go into closed session to discuss collective bargaining, consider sale or purchase of securities, investment or investment contracts, and litigation. Is there a motion to go into closed session? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Okay, the vote is open.
Just again, there is no planned action or no action will be taken after closed session, so appreciate everyone's attendance. Thank you very much.
The vote is closed. Motion is carried.